The reflective practitioner can also use Venn diagrams to help support the process of thinking. Venn diagrams can be a useful tool for thinking. I've given an example here where there are two circles which represent a structured process of professional learning for a teacher in a classroom. One circle in the Venn diagram represents a concrete experience in the classroom. The other circle represents how the teacher is thinking about that experience, conceptualizing that experience. And we can see in the diagram here on the left-hand side the concrete experience. And there can be a number of elements that the teacher could include in this part of the Venn diagram. The circle is labeled as self-structure, or in other words, how the teacher is understanding the experience and beginning the process of learning from it. This area represents the teacher's entire perception of that experience as a teacher and how they include their self-concept within that experience. Therefore, it could include individual characteristics from the teacher as well as the relationships that the teacher has with the students. It also, of course, represents that the values and the beliefs and the assumptions that the teacher has about teaching and their role as a teacher. So in this field, there were elements labeled 1, 2, and 3. And these are just elements that the teacher in this example would be reflecting on. Of course, they reflect a certain level of reality. And there could therefore be many more than just 3 elements within the field. There could be 8, there could be 10, there could be 15. The more elements, the more complex the level of thinking. So, for example, the teacher, if they were teaching elementary level mathematics, could be reflecting on elements of their own competence in terms of the subject that they're teaching. I was considering, algebra at this level, and maybe the teacher needs to think about themselves and their own knowledge about algebra. Element 2 could be the teacher's own feelings of confidence in relation to that subject area. And then element 3 would refer to the teacher's feelings and ability about communicating that knowledge to the students. So very much based in the concrete experience. And on the right-hand side, we can actually see a number of elements. And these refer to aspects of how the teacher is conceptualizing the process, drawing on action in the classroom. It could be about the teacher trying out new things or just doing something for the first time. It represents a lot of immediacy and therefore generates a lot of feelings associated with that. And as such, it can be very fluid. Once again, it can, of course, contain many more elements. In this field, there could be, for example, elements about the student's behavior or about how the teacher is using materials, resources to teach the concepts in algebra. Or it could be about the student's inability to understand the technical language which is included in this subject. Of course, where the two circles intersect, where the concrete experience and the conceptualization come together, is another field for the teacher to explore. In this area, this is where the conceptualization, the teachers thinking about themselves, how they're working, comes together with the experience that they have in the classroom. And so it's where the teacher's values and beliefs about what they're doing and about their own role as a teacher links to the concrete experience of the students. So we had a number of elements in this part of the diagram, and these can relate to an increased lack of confidence from the experience due to their own feelings. Element 8 could be about an increased understanding of how to use resources to teach subjects. So there's a positive attribute. And there could be another element about how communication is improving in relation to teaching subjects in mathematics. So the elements within the Venn diagrams can be positive as well as negative. So we can see that the Venn diagram is a way for the teacher to deconstruct what is happening in the classroom, and can be used to identify the key elements and compare and contrast the elements of the experience. What's useful to note is that in Venn diagrams there are always intersecting circles, and there could be more than two. There could be 3, 4, or even more. When there are more circles, it becomes much more complex. In this example, a third circle could relate to the reflective practice itself, the strategies that the teacher is using to gather evidence and information in relation to the experience of teaching algebra. And therefore, the teacher could be looking at a reflective practice journal. That would be one way to do it. Or it could be about having an observer in the classroom to give them feedback. Or it could even be about asking the students for feedback on their teaching. So Venn diagrams give a very individual approach for the teacher to think about their practice of teaching and to deconstruct it in a very clinical and scientific way. And Venn diagrams can be a very useful graphic organizer, not only to reflect, but also over time to reflect back on changes in practice.